happy to take him if you want. I can't find my capo, and I don't think I left it here last week. It's written. All right. Good. I have to change baby's diaper. Hey, wow. Mister, I'm so sorry. Justin, did you already email?
Yep.
Okay.
Since my technical people were late.
Hey, good morning. I guess we're gonna have to do bad reviews. I like your haircut. What did you get?
Wanted to do short.
Oh, I think it looks good. It's easy that way.
The downstairs one.
Well,
Yeah.
test. All right, good morning. Let's get started. Hey Val, is this your capo?
Yes, thank you. I've been looking all over. I ripped my room apart. Look, oh no, that's not mine.
Oh, it's not.
No, that one's not mine.
Could use it, huh?
You could. Mine's it's a squeeze handle.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody remember where we left off last weekend? Book of Isaiah. Getting warmer. So we looked at Assyria and they're approaching Jerusalem, and we looked at the basically the judgment that the Lord announced against the king of Assyria because of his attitude. So he was a king of a lot of pride. He sought out a lot of the territory. He lauded the God of Israel with the pagan gods. He saw himself above the gods. And so we see in chapter 10, the Lord is announcing judgment on Assyria. And then also the God will deliver a remnant of Judah out of Syria. So now we're in chapter 11. So we're gonna, as usual, we're gonna read through chapter 11, and then we'll go back through and dice it up. So there's 16 verses. Can I get someone to read the first 8, and then someone want to read the second 8? Pastor, first 8 verses. Anybody want to finish the chapter off?
Justin said he volunteered.
Okay.
It's Yishai.
That's Jesse.
Jesse. But a branch will emerge from the trunk of Jesse, a shoot will grow from his roots. The spirit of Adonai will rest on him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and power, the spirit of knowledge and fearing Adonai. He will be inspired by fearing Adonai. He will not judge by what his eyes see or decide by what his ears hear, but he will judge the impoverished justly. He will decide fairly for the humble of the land. He will strike the land with a rod in his mouth and slay the wicked with the breath from his lips. Justice will be the belt around his waist, faithfulness the sash around his hips. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard lie down with the calf, young lion and fattened lamb together, with a little child to lead them. Cow and bear will feed together, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. Infant will play on a cobra's hole, a toddler put his hand in a viper's nest. You said 8, right?
Yep. Justin, go ahead.
They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full with the knowledge of the Lord. Knowledge of the Lord, as the waters covered the sea, in the day of the root of Jesse. Shall stand as a symbol for the people of him. Shall the nations inquire in his rest, and which shall be glorious. And that day the Lord will extend his hand yet a second time, to recover the remains that remains of his people, from Israel, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamid, and from the coastlands of the sea. He will raise a signal from the nations and will symbol the banish of Israel, and gather the dispersed Judah from the far corners of the earth. The jealousy of Abraham shall depart, and those who harass Judah shall depart. Abraham shall be jealous, shall not be jealous of Judah, and Judah shall not harass Abraham. They shall swoop down upon the shoulders of the Philistines and rest, and together they shall plunder the people of the east. They shall put out their hand against the Edom and Moab, and the animals shall obey them. Is that it, or should I continue on?
Finish it off, please.
Okay. And the Lord will utterly destroy the ton of the sea of Egypt, and will wave the sea of the river with the scorching breath, and strike into 7 chambers, and he will lead the people across in sandals, and there will be a highway from Israel for the remains that remains of his people. As there was for Israel, when they come up from the land of Egypt.
Okay. So we see kind of the tenor shifting, right? We've been reading about, the last almost 10 chapters we've been reading about the judgment on Israel and Judah, and also on Assyria. So now we see kind of the tenor changing to this hope that will shoot forward with for Israel and Judah. So in verse 1, yeah, there we go. What happened to my letters?
You want it?
Yeah, and I clicked through to.
Yeah, go to reading view, please. There we go. That's good. All right. Yeah. All right. So, verse 1, we see this, the governments of the world, such as Assyria, in the prior chapters have been, kind of referred to as cedar forests of Lebanon. So, kind of an analogy of their strength and number. But then we see this stump of the house of David, which is an indication of their apostasy. What is it? What is apostasy? Correct. So abandonment of the truth. So due to that, they become like a stump, like a felled tree. Their roots were laid bare. And so then we see from this stump that a root will arise. And it refers to Jesse. Who's Jesse? David's daddy. I'd be thoroughly impressed if someone can draw a line from Abraham to Jesse.
14 generations.
Okay? Can you name names? Little Bible trilogy. So Abraham and who? Let's start with Abraham. Abraham and Sarah had Isaac. Isaac married who and had Jacob? Rebecca. Okay. Who Jacob married? Good. Good. And who was their son?
Isaac Esau, Jacob and Esau.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
He got renamed Israel.
Yeah. So, we're focusing on the line of Jesse, so that would be Judah. Who did? What happened to Judah? So he had 3 kids, and who married his firstborn? Tamar. Yeah. What was his firstborn's name?
Dead. Dead dude. Yeah.
Er. And then what happened to Er? He was killed. So then she marries second-born, who is Onan.
Onan's supposed to see it die. So Seth married.
But she was given to Onan.
Yeah. But they
Yeah.
were married.
That's true.
Well, they were being married.
Right. They were in the process. So then Judah is like, hey, I've given you two of my kids, and they both have died. There's a curse on you. So then she disguised herself in what?
Well, he prolonged the third son, kept prolonging. So she tricked him.
Yep.
She became a harlot to deceive him.
Well, he tricked her. She raised the trickery. He tricked her because he promised when my son becomes of age.
True.
Didn't follow through. So
was an interesting way of
Yeah,
bringing your point home.
So
true.
Judah and Tamar, they had who?
Perez?
Good. Perez, yeah. So he was a twin, right? So Perez means to breach or to burst forth. So he was the first of the twins to be born. So Perez had who? Who was Perez's son? Oh, are you cheating? Nah, that's fine. I wouldn't. Once we get into this area, I'm like, I can't remember. So Hezron had Aram. Aram had Aminadab. And then Aminadab had who? Nasason. And then Nasason had a fish that we all love to catch. And then Salman married who? No. Well, who'd Salman marry? A Canaanite. Rahab? Yeah, Rahab. Rahab. So they had who? Boaz? Yep. And Boaz. I thought Boaz married Ruth. Yeah. And so they had who? Obed. Okay. And Obed had who? David's father. Jesse. So Scripture doesn't really tell us who David's mother was, but the rabbis say it was Nitzebet. So Jesse represents the royal lineage. So out of this remnant, a chosen family will spring forth, and the new government and its ruler will be from this royal family. And what royal family are we talking about? Jesse, Judah, right? The ruling tribe. And so, if you can turn to Matthew or Luke and continue on the lineage down to Jesus. But Jesus started out. So when it refers to the sprig that will shoot forth, it's speaking to Jesus. And Jesus started out as essentially a sprig, right? A twig. I mean, very lowly. We were looking at, was it 2 weekends ago, the appearance and stature of Jesus, right? He was kind of a gray man, didn't stand out. There was nothing significant about him. Probably not displeasing to look at, but not, someone you look at and think, oh, you're kind of handsome fella. So, and then I like 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 25 through 31. It says, "For God's nonsense is wiser than humanity's wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than humanity's strength. Just look at yourselves, brothers. Look at those whom God has called. Not many of you are wise by the world's standards. Not many wield power or boast noble birth, but God chose what the world considers nonsense in order to shame the wise. God chose what the world considers weak in order to shame the strong. And God chose what the world looks down on as common or regards as nothing in order to bring to nothing what the world considers important, so that no one should boast before God. It is his doing that you are united with the Messiah. He has become wisdom for us from God." So basically sums up how the world viewed Jesus, this little sprig that came forth for humanity, was considered, lowly, powerless, insignificant, but quite the contrary, as we'll see. And I know we've already referred to the scripture, but we'll do it again. So this sprig or shoot that will arise from the stump will become a great cedar. In Ezekiel 17, Ezekiel chapter 17, verse 22 through 24 says, Adonai Elohim says, from the top of this tall cedar, from its highest branch, I will take a shoot and plant it myself on a high and prominent mountain. I will plant it on the highest mountain in Israel, where it will put out branches, bear fruit, and become a noble cedar. Under it will live all kinds of birds, winged creatures, and winged creatures of every description will live there in the shadow of its branches. Then all the trees of the field will know that I, Adonai, will bring down the tall tree and raise up the low tree, wither the green tree and make the withered tree bear fruit. I, Adonai, have spoken, and I will do it. So, again, just using trees as an analogy of the king and the kingdom. So, this shoot of Jesse will be made into a great tree where many will come and find refuge. And I found it interesting. If you can see the background here, in Japan, they do this in England too. This is a cedar tree, and they prune it over a number of years to basically force the branches, the sprigs, to shoot up straight. And in doing so, they have like no knots in them. I mean, they're some of the hardest cedar wood that if you've ever seen the architecture of Japanese structures, there's like no knots in their wood, right? It's just a very fine grain wood, and that's how they do it. They prune up the sprigs of a cedar to grow up straight with no knots, and it's very high strength material. So that's kind of kind of a visual on what I kind of imagine when it speaks of the sprig that will shoot up from the root of Israel. And then as we get in further into Isaiah, we'll see that there will be a period similar to what's happening to Judah now, where they're laid low. There's a stark contrast between Assyria's strength and influence versus Israel's influence and strength. Like Israel referred to as a stump, Assyria is referred to as a tree of Lebanon. Very stark difference, and we'll see the same. As we talked about last week in the repeat of history, we'll see the same thing happen to that region of Israel, and to this future, the kingdoms of the world. So there will be a stark contrast where Israel will be again brought very low. All right, verse 2 says, the spirit of Adonai will rest on him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and power, the spirit of knowledge and fearing Adonai. So basically we see the mention of these seven spirits that will be bestowed on this root of Jesse. So the spirit of discernment, the spirit of counsel and power, so the ability to form right and just conclusions, and the might and ability to carry them out. I don't know if anybody here has had to sit down and, when I say the ability to carry him out, if you've ever been tasked with laying someone off, it's not that easy. It takes to sit down and look someone in the face and basically tell them, you're no longer employed here. It takes strength and confidence. First time I did it, I didn't come in with strength and confidence. I was stuttering and blah, 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 So when Jesus comes, when he enacts justice, he will come with strength and might. So there will be no wavering in his determination. And then the spirit of knowledge and fearing God, and then most importantly, the Spirit of God. So basically, Jesus will be anointed by the spirits or the Spirit. So interestingly enough, we see in Revelations 4. Can I get a couple volunteers to read? Actually, I probably just need one. Kenny, if you want to read those two. Revelations 4, 1 through 6, and then Revelations 5, 1 through 8.
After these things I saw, and lo, a door opened in the heaven. And the first voice that I heard is as of a trumpet speaking with me, saying, Come up hither, and I will show thee what it behoveth to come to pass after these things. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and lo, a throne was set in heaven, and upon the throne was one sitting. And he who was sitting was in sight like a stone, jasper and sardine, and a rainbow was around the throne in the sight like an emerald. And around the throne are thrones 20 and 4, and upon the thrones I saw the 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments, and they had upon their heads crowns of gold. And out of the thrones proceeded do lightnings and thunders, and voices, and 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne is a sea of glass like crystal, and in the midst of the throne, and around the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes, before and behind. 5, 8, 1 through 8.
Yeah.
And I saw the right hand of him who was sitting upon the throne, a scroll, written within and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong messenger crying with a great voice, Who is worthy to open the scroll and loosen the seal of it? And no one was able in heaven, nor on the earth, nor under the earth, to open the scroll, nor to behold it. And I was weeping much, because no one was found worthy to open and to read the scroll, nor to behold it. And one of the elders said to me, Weep not, lo, overcome the Lion, who is of the tribe of Judah, and the root of David, to open the scroll and to loosen the 7 seals of it. And I saw, and lo, in the midst of the throne, the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, a lamb that stood as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, which are sent to all the earth. And he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him who was sitting upon the throne. And when he took the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell before the Lamb, having each 1 harp and golden vessels full of perfumes, which were the prayers of the saints.
Okay. So, I see a kind of a correlation here between the seven spirits, right? That Jesus is endowed with, endued with, and the spirits here mentioned in Revelation. And if you're like me, you like to dig in and figure out, well, what, I think a lot of times I glance over, individual words, and with not putting no thought into them. And so when I read this, I was like, well, what exactly is a spirit? What are these spirits that Jesus has been endowed with? Ruach. So the Hebrew word is ruach. And we got 10 minutes, so I thought maybe we could look at, different ways that Scripture uses that word ruach. Ruach. So interestingly enough, I'm going to parse out. Who's interested? Asen? What's that? It means spirit. That's what we're going to look at here. It's Hebrew word. All right, so I'm going to parse out some verses here. Anybody, any volunteers to read? Is that Emmy? All right, Emmy? Holly? Anybody else? Anna? Okay, we've got 3. And then Wendy? All right, so I got Emmy, if you want to do Genesis 3:8. Holly, if you want to do Genesis 6:17, chapter 6, verse 17. Anna, if you want to do Genesis 26, verse 35. Let's see. Did I have? There was someone else, right? Anna? That's right, Wendy. That's what you get for coming in late. Yeah, definitely. Exodus chapter 10, verse 13.
Sorry, Justin, what was mine? 26:35.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 26, verse 35.
I only have 34.
Really?
I can find a different version.
Which one are you using?
The American Standard.
Are you using?
Genesis 26.
Yeah, that's weird.
26:35.
Yeah, mine was. What did she have in it? Hold on. He changed my thing here. I'll just change versions. Okay.
All right. So, let's see. Emmy, go ahead.
Genesis 3:8. They heard a sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of God, of the Lord God among the tree of the garden.
You know what word there is? Ruach? Cool. That's interesting, huh? Cool. Cool of the day. All right, so note that. Holly?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Then I myself will bring the flood of water over the earth to destroy from under heaven every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will be destroyed.
Okay. So we have cool of the day. Here we have breath or breeze.
And they were a grief of mind unto Isaac and to Rebekah.
So here we have grief.
And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt. Oh, sorry, I lost my spot. The land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land of the day and all the night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts.
Well, what the heck? How do we figure out? You got cool of the day. You got breath. We have Anna. What was yours? Grief. That's right. And then we've got wind. What do you guys think?
I think there's a lot of spirit.
I think breath, wind, and spirit are all.
Breath, wind, and spirit? Yeah.
All moving, or all seeking force.
God's power and the spirit you say God's power?
Is that all encompassed in Genesis 1 where it says in the spirit the Lord moved upon the face of the earth?
That's Ruach.
Yep, that's Ruach as well. Oftentimes it's like, I think, what is it? Joshua or Scripture interprets courage as Ruach. Anger, so it's an actionable. Go ahead.
Attitude
Yeah, attitude.
is what I concluded after. So your spirit, kind of attitude you have. You got good spirit. Rah, rah, we got spirit. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, in an actionable.
How does that
Attri-
Genesis 6:17 then?
That confuses me because he's setting forth the place on this one, so it's not like rah rah we got spirit.
No, context is what denotes. It's the
Yeah.
same word, but context
So it has many meanings.
determines.
Oh, okay.
It's that unseeable.
Well, your verse, I think, would be the destruction of spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna wipe it out. Destroy it.
And then in this one, this is the spirit.
Yeah.
The plague.
So how in the context that we're looking at in Isaiah, where Jesus is receiving the Spirit, how would you put that? How would you substitute Spirit out of there? What would you say? He's receiving he's being endowed with the action or the ability, the attitude of those attributes.
Endowed or indwelled?
Indwelled. Yeah, indwelled. That's probably a better word.
Well, it just means that you've got God's power on tap, pretty much, and God's moving in you.
Right. And if you look at Revelation, when the seven spirits go out or dispersed in the world, those are attributes that we should be able to tap into as well, right? If we're in the Messiah, the spirit of fear. What are the spirits again? I mean, these are.
Fear as in like awe and respect, not fear as in fear of, or is it both?
Well, in Revelation, it's the black scary fear, right?
Let's see.
I don't know.
Can they go hand in hand at the same time? Because what would be
Yeah.
respect
So
for
that'd
others?
be reverence. It's not phobos, so that'd be reverence.
Just out of curiosity, but like, what would be terrifying for some people? Like, if they came face to face, whereas we knew we were at least slightly prepared. Would that fear be a little bit like there's like an in between or something?
Say that again.
When Christ comes
Try to
back.
get that one.
When Christ comes back, there's the two fears, right? But you have the awe and respect, and then you have your terrifying. His judgment be coming. And I was just wondering, like, there's gotta be an in between there. Like, there would be like a.
I feel both.
Yeah, I think
It's
the
like,
in between would be both.
yeah.
Yeah.
There couldn't be like two versions, or it would just be both.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis said it best. Aslan's good, but he's not safe.
No, very true.
That is good.
But he said,
That quote.
Yeah.
I use it all the time. You guys have it before.
All right, I'm out of time, so we'll pick back up. We only got through 2 verses, but running a bit late today. Can we try next weekend to be here at 10 o'clock?
Sure,
"10 o'clock."
we don't don't start till 10:15.
Okay. Can everybody have their butt in a seat at 10:15?
Thank you. My toilet doesn't overflow.
All right.
You know, the upside is it was the basement and not the upstairs toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Praise for that.
Yeah, your downstairs is all tile, right?
Yeah.
Tile and concrete.
And you didn't come home and there was 2 feet of water and been
I caught it really quick, so. Yes.
All right. Aaron, do you want to open us up in prayer this morning? Open. Let's open it.